My wife, Liu Ruyan, kicked my door open. She grabbed me by the hair, forcing me to my knees. "You've got some nerve," she barked. "How dare you run away with my kid?" My daughter instantly switched sides. "Mommy, I don't want to go with Daddy. You're my absolute favorite." How did it come to this? Well, my wife is a billionaire CEO, and I'm basically a male wife, living off her wealth. I actually built a massive following just vlogging my life as a sugar baby, until a guy showed up at my door, claiming I was just a rebound for her dead first love. 6 years into our marriage, this new rebound showed up at my house, carrying a basket of green fruits. Limes, green plums, and green mangoes. He said, "President Liu asked me to deliver these. Well, they're bright green, just like the cuckold hat on your head." He told me I was nothing but a placeholder, and that President Liu had paid for his plastic surgery, so he could look 90% like her white moonbeam. He claimed she even bought him a company, and spent the whole night with him. I actually believed him. I asked my daughter who she wanted to stay with it, and she chose me. That very day, I packed our bags and ran. Rewind to 10:00 a.m. that morning. The doorbell rang. I opened the door, and a strangely familiar face was standing there. Lin Shuo. Out of all the underprivileged students my wife sponsored, he was the most outstanding. Supposedly a top-tier graduate from the National Media University, he was holding several massive fruit baskets, smiling brightly. "Hey, Chin Fan, just dropped by to see you." I let him in. The villa felt empty with just me there. Our daughter, Ningning, was still at preschool, way before pickup time. Lin Shuo began arranging the fruits on the coffee table one by one. Limes, green plums, green mangoes, guavas, green dates, kiwis, and starfruit. Looking at this sea of green, my temples started throbbing. "President Liu asked me to bring these over," Lin Shuo said, measuring me up with a smug, mocking look. "She said she wanted to give you some pretty fruits to help with your vitamins." He paused, glancing pointedly right above my head. "I mean, look at how vibrant this green is. It's just like the giant green hat you're wearing." I gripped the remote control so hard it creaked. A surge of pure rage shot straight to my head. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Lin Shuo looked back at me, as if I'd just said the funniest thing in the world. "Oh, nothing. But I think you get the message." He leaned back on the couch, acting like he owned the place. "Look, people need to know their place. Don't get greedy over things that aren't yours. Did you seriously think a gold digger could become royalty? You're nothing but a knockoff." My mind went completely blank, like I'd been hit by a sledgehammer. "A knockoff? Exactly." Lin Shuo stood up and walked over to me. He pointed at his own eyes, then pointed at mine. "Why don't you look in the mirror? Do you seriously not see it?" I shook my head. "What similarity?" He scoffed, scoffingly. "Wow, you really are clueless. You haven't noticed that your eyes look about 90% identical to mine. That's because we both look like one specific person. President Liu's late childhood sweetheart, her eternal white moonbeam. His eyes looked exactly like yours and mine. Get it now? That's the only reason you're even here." I froze entirely, staring at him in utter disbelief. Lin Shuo looked thrilled with my reaction, and dropped an even bigger bombshell. "You've seen me before, right? Notice a little change." He smugly stroked his own face. "Yep, it was President Liu. She paid for me to get some minor work done. Modeled completely after her childhood sweetheart. Now, it's not just the eyes anymore. My entire face is a 90% match. So do yourself a favor and get out of the way. Stop overstaying your welcome." I was shaking with pure anger, but I couldn't find the words to fight back. In my agitation, I accidentally bit down on my canker sore. Ouch! The sharp pain instantly snapped me back to reality. This is completely absurd. How could Liu Ruyan ever Ryan? Why the hell should I believe you? I practically screamed it. "You're hilarious." He casually pulled out his phone. "Let me guess, President Liu didn't come home at all last night, right? Want to know why?" He scrolled through his phone, looking for something. "Because she spent the entire night with me. She just set up a brand new media company for me. We were there all night." He shoved his phone screen right in front of my face. It was a selfie. In the photo, Lin Shuo was in the foreground, flashing a peace sign, looking incredibly smug. On the couch, just a bit behind him, sat a silhouette I knew all too well. It was definitely Liu Ruyan. even though it was a bit blurry. You could clearly see the company logo, media company emblazoned on the background wall. Go ahead and ask her if you don't believe me. I mean, we're basically in the same line of work, except I'm moving up, and you're getting dumped. After all, I'm the much more flawless upgrade. He put his phone away, patted my shoulder and turned to leave. Hang in there, bud. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Oh, and by the way, those fruits President Liu sent. They're her gentle hint for you to exit with some dignity. Otherwise, you'll be living in a permanent green grassland of betrayal. Ding! My phone buzzed with a WeChat alert. It was from Lin Shuo. He had just sent me the exact same selfie of him and Lu Ruyan, followed by a text. Good luck, brother. Catch you later. Staring at that photo, at Lin Shuo's peace sign and smug grin, it felt like two sharp needles stabbing into my eyes. Now that he was gone, the villa felt entirely dead silent. I collapsed onto the couch, my brain in total chaos. A knockoff. How on earth could I be a knockoff? My thoughts were like a rock thrown into a quiet lake, sending endless ripples through my mind, taking me back to years ago. My family wasn't rolling in cash, but we weren't doing bad either. My parents were high school teachers, incredibly old-fashioned and strict. Their biggest dream for me was to study hard, pass the civil service exam, become a teacher, and live a completely predictable life. So when I got into Jiang University and started dating a girl during my freshman year, they cut off my allowance without hesitation. Their reasoning was that college was for studying, and without money, the girlfriend would obviously dump me. To survive, and to keep a shred of my pride, I took a part-time bartending job near the campus. And that's exactly where I met Lu Ruyan. That night, she was clearly having a terrible day. She sat at the bar alone, downing drink after drink. Seeing that she was completely wasted, I stepped in and told her to pace herself. But, using her liquid courage, she grabbed my wrist out of nowhere. Hey there, cutie. You're a college student, right? Her eyes were sparkling, flirty and totally tipsy. Where do you go to school? Want to hang out with me? How about I become your sugar mommy? She was talking a big game while tracing her fingers lightly across the palm of my hand. As an innocent college guy, I had absolutely no idea how to handle that. My entire face blushed bright red instantly. Luckily, her best friend, Ming Junmeng, showed up just in time and literally dragged her out the door. The next day, I got a call from her. Her voice over the phone was incredibly soft and sweet, apologizing profusely over and over, insisting on buying me dinner to make it up to me. I was going to say it wasn't necessary, but she was so persistent, sounding like a completely different person from the night before. I nervously agreed to go. Over dinner, we realized we actually went to the same university. I was a sophomore, and she was a senior about to graduate. She didn't have to stress about her future like the rest of us. Her dad's massive company was already waiting for her to take over. She could come to campus whenever she wanted, or just head into the office. Right then, I realized, some people are just born on a completely different level. After that, she became a constant presence in my life, eating with me at the cafeteria, and walking around campus with me. We naturally became a couple. On her graduation day, she gave a speech as the top valedictorian, looking absolutely radiant. At the after-party, she held my hand tightly and introduced me to all her classmates and friends. Hey everyone, this is my boyfriend, Qin Fan. He's incredibly handsome and treats me like a queen. She kept hyping me up, so much that I stood there completely flustered. Later, when I finally graduated, she signed off on my internship paperwork without a second thought and had me work right alongside her. I introduced her to my strict parents, and she took me to meet her family too. Her parents were incredibly open-minded, saying as long as their daughter was happy, they were on board. Everything went incredibly smooth. We got married, and a year later, we welcomed our daughter, Nining. Our life together was sweet. I still remember a trip we took to Nanshan. At a famous wishing shrine, she dragged me along to pray for our future. Afterward, she looked at me completely serious. Qin Fan, are we going to be together forever? Will we have our own kids? I smiled and booped her nose. Of course we will. We'll be together forever. As for kids, if we're broke, we won't have any. I'll just have to rely on you to take care of me. She immediately puffed out her chest proudly. Don't worry, my family has plenty of cash. I'll support you. Your only job is to stay handsome. I joked back at the time. Well, won't that make me a total sugar baby? If you ever treat me or the kid badly, I'm packing up and running away with them. The sweeter the memories, the more painful reality hurts. I snapped out of the flashback, feeling like ice water had been poured down my spine. All those sweet moments I thought were pure love. Looking back now, they just felt like a meticulously staged scam. All because my eyes happened to look like her dead childhood sweetheart. I picked up my phone and stared at that triggering photo, my heart sinking deeper by the second. Now that Lin Shuo was gone, the villa felt entirely dead silent. I collapsed onto the couch, zooming in on that picture over and over again. Lin Shuo's smug grin, the blurry silhouette of Liu Ruyan behind him, and those glaring words, Media Su All. I picked up my phone, and as if possessed, opened my short video account. The daily life of Trophy, husband Qin Fan, 10 followers. My profile picture was a couple's photo of me and Liu Ruyan. She was leaning on my shoulder, smiling like a carefree kid. My latest vlog was posted just 2 days ago. It showed me in the kitchen, making her bird's nest soup. Captioned, "Wifey works so hard. Hubby made you some nourishment." There were tens of thousands of comments below. Bro is flexing his relationship again. When will I ever find an absolute king of a husband like him? I'm so jealous. Honestly, I'd happily live off a rich wife forever. Looking at my smiling face on the screen, I found it incredibly ironic. What perfect husband. What sweet daily life. I was nothing but a clown playing a part. A shadow placeholder that couldn't ever see the light of day. No, I couldn't just take Lin Shuo's word for it. I needed receipts. I needed proof that would let me completely give up on her. I didn't dare call Liu Ruyan directly. I was terrified of getting the answer I dreaded. And even more terrified, she would just dismiss me with a lie. My fingers scrolled through my contacts for what felt like forever, before finally landing on one name, Ming Junmin, Liu Ruyan's absolute best friend. They had been inseparable since they were toddlers. If anyone knew Liu Ruyan inside out, it was definitely her. I dialed the number. It rang a few times before she picked up. "Hello. Well, look who it is. Qin Fan, what raps you to call me?" Ning. Yunming's loud, bubbly voice came through the speaker. I forced myself to squeeze out a casual, normal-sounding tone. "Oh, nothing much. Just checking if you've eaten yet. What have you been up to lately?" "Just finished eating, and same old. Just slacking off. But hey, how come you didn't post a lovey-dovey vlog today? Your internet fans are low-key losing it waiting." She teased on the other end. I gave a hollow laugh, but my heart was pounding out of my chest. Taking a deep breath, after beating around the bush, I finally steered the conversation to what mattered. "Junmin, let me ask you something. You have to be completely real with me." Why so serious? Did Ruyan have a childhood sweetheart before? Like, someone who died? By the time I managed to get the question out, my palms were dripping with cold sweat. The line went dead quiet for a split second, and then Ming Junming burst into a wild laugh. "Faith, why are you bringing this up out of nowhere?" She giggled uncontrollably. "Yeah, that actually happened. Honestly, I thought you knew about it ages ago." My heart instantly dropped past the floor. Ming Junming kept talking on the other end, her voice entirely lighthearted about the past. Back when Ruyan was a senior, like right before she got wasted at that bar, she had actually just confessed to that childhood friend. Boom. It felt like a bomb exploded inside my skull. She confessed right before she met me. Lin Shuo's claims and Ming Junming's words felt like two iron hammers, smashing my last shred of hope to absolute dust. "Hello, Qin Fan, are you still there?" Yeah, my voice sounded so raspy it didn't even sound like me. "Thanks for letting me know, Junming. I'm glad we can talk like friends." Before she could say another word, I abruptly hung up the phone. Right before the call ended, I thought I heard her mutter, "What a weirdo." Yeah, a total weirdo. Something this major, and I, her actual husband, was the absolute last to find out. Hilarious. It was so, but I wasn't ready to take it lying down. I still couldn't let it go. With trembling hands, I dialed the number I knew better than any other. Liu Ruyan. The call went through. and her cold, slightly exhausted voice echoed from the receiver. What's up? Hey, Ryan. What are you doing? I tried my best to keep my voice sounding completely normal, like any other day. In a meeting, at the office. Super busy. Make it quick if it's important. So, someone dropped off a bunch of fruits today. Limes, green plums, stuff like that. I asked tentatively, did you have someone send them? Yeah, why? She replied. They delivered exactly what I ordered. Not a fan. Well, eat them anyway. They're packed with vitamin C, which is great for that canker sore in your mouth. Her words felt like needles stabbing right into my chest. So, she actually remembered I had a canker sore. But right now, that gesture of care just made me low-key sick to my stomach. Was she caring about me? Or was she caring about a face that just looked like someone else? Summoning every bit of courage I had, I asked the final devastating question. Ryan, were you actually in love with that childhood friend of yours? The one who died? There was an agonizing, dead silence on the line. Every single second stretched out like a century. Just when I thought she was going to completely ghost the question, she finally spoke. Nope, never. He's dead, and that's that. Honestly, good riddance. Chin Fan, you're the only one I love. Hearing her shut it down so firmly, hearing her say good riddance, it just made me feel completely numb. It sounded so fake. It wasn't an explanation. It was defensive damage control because she got caught. Her own best friend already spilled the tea, yet she was still capping. I couldn't handle listening to it anymore. The rest of her words didn't even register. Got it? I muttered abruptly, and hung up on her. Once the call disconnected, I stared at Liu Ryan's name on my screen, feeling absolutely dizzy. I pushed through the afternoon without eating a single bite of lunch. My head was spinning, haunted by Lin Shuo's punchable face, and every toxic thing he'd said. But I had to pull it together. It was time to pick up Nining, driving over to her preschool. Only one thought kept me grounded. I could walk away from everything else. But for the past 6 years, I was the one who raised Ningning. She was my absolute red line. When I picked her up, the little girl was like a happy little bird, gabbing away about her day at school. Gently patting her head, my heart melted into pure mush. While waiting at a red light, I tried to sound casual and asked, Hey Nining, Daddy wants to ask you something. If you had to choose between Daddy and Mommy, who would you stay with? Ningning, who was busy playing with her hands, looked up with those big eyes that looked just like mine. She didn't hesitate for a second. Duh, Daddy, obviously. You're the best daddy in the whole wide world. My heart felt an intense, heavy pang, both emotional and full. Holding back my feelings, I pressed on. But if you come with Daddy, we might not live in a huge house anymore, or go to such a fancy school. The food might not be as good either. Would you want to? Her little brows furrowed tightly, looking like she was deep in thought. Then, she leaned over and planted a huge aggressive kiss on my cheek. As long as I'm with you, Daddy, I don't care about any of that. Even basic food tastes amazing when we eat it together. That was it. That was all I needed to hear. Once we got home, I went straight to the kitchen and whipped up an absolute feast. All of Ningning's absolute favorites, sweet and sour pork, cola chicken wings, and French fries. After dinner, I even pulled out that strawberry ice cream from the freezer, the one she'd been obsessing over. But Liu Ruyan never let her have too much of two. Go ahead, Daddy says, yes. Eat as much as you want tonight. Watching my daughter happily cover her face in ice cream, any lingering doubt I had instantly vanished into thin air, and things played out exactly like Lin Shuo said. For 3 whole days, Liu Ruyan didn't come home once. Not a single call, not a single text. Meanwhile, Lin Shuo was treating it like a daily shift, sending me updates completely on schedule. They were all late-night photos of him and Liu Ruyan at that new media company. Even though they weren't doing anything explicitly physical, that subtle flex that he was there with her while I wasn't cut deeper than any words could. In the photos, Liu Ruyan was either reviewing files with a frown or talking to people. Lin Shuo always found the absolute perfect angle to frame the two of them together, sporting a winner's smirk. He even added captions. President Liu is working her absolute hardest for our company. Don't worry, Chin Fan. I'll take great care of her. staring at my phone. I felt like a massive joke. By the fourth night, Ningning was fast asleep, and I was tossing and turning in bed. I'd had enough. Time to end this. I opened my chat with Lu Ruyan and sent over the very first selfie Lin Shuo had shared. The one where he's flashing a peace sign, with her sitting on the couch right behind him. I texted, "So you're pulling all-nighters at his new company?" She replied almost instantly, "Liu Ruyan, yeah, what about it? It's just standard work stuff. Renovating the office. Getting everything set up for launch. Don't overthink it. Everything is fine." I scoffed internally. I kept typing, "Wow, you really went all out. Gifting a whole company." This time the chat went dead quiet for a long while. A solid few minutes passed before she finally shot back, "How did you find out?" Seeing those words, the absolute last spark of hope in my heart completely died. She was caught slipping. She wasn't asking me why I knew she was with Lin Shuo. Instead, she was asking how I found out about the company gifting thing. Turns out, to her, staying out all night, working with another guy, was no big deal, but giving away an entire company was the actual secret she needed to hide from me. I let out a self-deprecating laugh and texted my final reply, "Never mind, going to sleep, just found out by chance." Locking my phone, I stared blankly at the ceiling all night, wide awake. Since she wants me to vacate the spot, then fine, I'll walk away. Why bother acting out some tragic, long-suffering love drama? I, Chin Fan, am officially out. I stared at the chandelier on the ceiling all night long, when the first ray of morning light squeezed through the curtains and hit my face. I sat up. Enough is enough. What knockoff? What stepping down? Screw this, I'm done playing. I tiptoed into Ningning's bedroom. The little one was fast asleep, her tiny mouth slightly pouted, looking like a soft, squishy little bun. I leaned down and gently blew a puff of air near her ear. Ningning. Wakey wakey. Daddy's taking you somewhere awesome. Ningning blinked her eyes open sleepily and rubbed them. Daddy? It's not even light out yet. I lowered my voice, using my most persuasive, hyped-up tone. Do you want to go somewhere where you don't have to? Go to preschool, where you can ride horses every day and eat tons and tons of ice cream. No, preschool. Ningning's little brain instantly snapped awake. She bolted upright, her eyes wide as saucers. Daddy, are you serious? No school. 100% serious. I gave her a playful wink. What's the point of school anyway? Come be a full-time content creator with Daddy. Let's head to Nanjing and just travel for a month. We're gonna have the best time ever. Deal. Deal. On Ningning's little face, a brilliant, massive smile instantly bloomed. She was low-key more hyped than getting big red envelopes on New Year's. Mission accomplished. The two of us acted like secret agents on a mission. Speedrun through packing our luggage. I packed all of mine and Ningning's clothes, stuffing 2 massive suitcases completely full. Her toys, my streaming gear. I didn't leave a single thing behind. Walking out to the living room, I pulled a sticky note out of a drawer, grabbed a pen, and dramatically scrawled a bold message. I'm leaving. Don't look for us. I casually tossed the note right on top of that coffee table, covered with those unripe green fruits. I felt like those words were a total badass boss move. Right before walking out, I pulled the SIM card I'd used for 6 years out of my wallet and snapped it completely in half without a second thought. Goodbye, Liu Ruyan. Goodbye to this luxurious prison that kept me locked up for 6 years. On the way to the airport, Ningning was hyped, practically glued to the car window, gabbing away non-stop. Daddy, are there elephants in Nanjing? Yep. What about peacocks? Those too. OMG wow. Can we bring an elephant and a peacock back home to be our pets? I smiled and stroked her hair. Ha ha ha. That's a no-go, sweetie. They have their own homes. Just like how it's time for you and me to find a real home of our own. We booked first-class tickets to Nanjing that very day. The absolute last time I'd ever use Liu Ruyan's money. The moment the plane took off, the intense acceleration pushed me back into my seat, watching the city shrink to tiny dots outside the window. I didn't feel a single bit of regret. Instead, it was just an unprecedented, total sense of freedom. Whatever, let's just count this as a much-needed mental break. A little over 2 hours later, the plane touched down at Kunming Changshui Airport. A gust of fresh air, carrying the scent of green grass and wet earth, hit me instantly. Taking a deep breath, I felt like my lungs were getting a complete detox. As for where we were staying, I had pre-booked a cozy village cottage online. The hosts, running the homestay, were an incredibly sweet, down-to-earth middle-aged couple. Seeing me arrive with Ningning, they were super welcoming. They jumped to help with our luggage and brought out a platter of freshly picked fruits. Ningning went into absolute gremlin mode, completely letting loose. She chased a giant golden retriever all over the yard, her high-pitched giggles ringing out like wind chimes. Watching her look so completely carefree, the last bit of lingering anxiety I had about running away and leaving everything behind completely melted away into thin air. The sky here was intensely blue, the clouds pure white. Ningning and I stood in the courtyard of the cottage, staring out at the beautiful Kangshan Mountains. It felt like everything that happened before was just an absurd, toxic nightmare. Daddy, Ningning tugged my hand, looking up with her little face. It's so pretty here. I love it. I crouched down and scooped her up into a big hug. Glad you love it, kiddo. This is going to be our brand new home from now on. My new life in Nancheng was so incredibly peaceful, it felt like a dream I didn't want to wake up from. Ningning and I went totally crazy having fun. During the day we went horseback riding on the plains. The little one sat right in front of me, giggling hysterically as the horse trotted along, her crisp laughter echoing across the open grasslands. We spent time feeding grass to the gentle sheep and cows. Ningning's tiny hand gripped a handful of green grass, tentatively offering it to a sheep's mouth. Low-key nervous, but completely thrilled. All the stress and suffocating burden I'd accumulated in that luxurious cage got entirely washed away by the blue skies, white clouds, and the crisp, fresh air. I honestly thought we could just keep living like this forever. But what I didn't know was that while Ningning and I were out living our best free lives, an absolute storm was brewing thousands of miles away back in Jiang province. And right at the dead center of that storm was the wife I'd left behind, Liu Ruyang. The chaos kicked off 2 days later when Ningning's preschool teacher, Ms. Li, noticed that Ningning had skipped school for 2 consecutive days. For a kid like Liu Jining, who was literally never late or absent, this was highly unusual. She tried calling my phone first, but all she got from the receiver was a cold, automated voice. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. Ms. Li paused, puzzled. Assuming she must have mistyped it, she double-checked and dialed again, but got the exact same result. Left with no choice, she had to call the number listed under the emergency contact info. When that call went through, Liu Ruyan was right in the middle of a high-stakes corporate board meeting. Glancing down at her phone and seeing the preschool teacher's caller ID, her brows immediately knit together on instinct. She hit mute and ignored the call, but a moment later, it started ringing again. Feeling a flash of irritation, Ruyan excused herself from the executives in the room, grabbed her phone and stepped outside. Hello, Miss Li, is something wrong? Her tone was laced with the crisp impatience of being interrupted. President Liu, I am so sorry to bother you. But here's the thing. Jining has missed school both yesterday and today. I tried calling Mr. Chin, but I can't reach him either. It says his number is out of service. So I just wanted to check in with you. Is the little one feeling sick? Liu Ruyan's frown deepened sharply. Out of service. She hung up the call, immediately opened her contacts to find my name, and hit dial. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. Hearing that exact same automated message, the slight annoyance in Liu Ruyan's chest instantly mutated into a terrible, ominous gut feeling. She rushed to open WeChat and shot me a quick text, only for a giant red exclamation mark to pop up on her screen. System message. You have been unfriended by the recipient. Liu Ruyan's face instantly drained of all color. She completely abandoned her meeting, grabbed her car keys and bolted out the door. Her high heels clicked against the polished marble floor, echoing with a rushed, panicked urgency. She drove back home in an absolute frenzy, speeding the entire way, the creeping sense of dread in her heart growing stronger by the second. The villa's front door wasn't locked. She pushed it open, only to be greeted by dead silence. Chin Fan! Ningning! She yelled out twice. Only her own echo bounced back in the empty house. She sprinted up to the second floor, shoving open Ning Ning's bedroom door first. Everything was perfectly tidy inside, but some of Ning Ning's favorite clothes and toys were completely gone. Her heart violently dropped. She stumbled her way into our master bedroom. Inside the walk-in closet, my entire half of the wardrobe was completely empty. The clothes I wore on the daily, it wasn't just a piece or two missing, it was a massive amount. Even the 2 giant suitcases we kept stored in the utility room had vanished without a trace. Gone without a trace. That realization hit Lu Ruyan's heart like a literal freight train. She stumbled backward 2 steps, leaning against the doorframe, her mind completely blank. She walked downstairs like a ghost, her eyes sweeping blankly across the living room. Finally, her gaze locked onto the piece of paper I had tossed onto the coffee table, the sticky note. The note was resting right on top of that pile of unripe green fruits she had delivered. She walked over and picked up the note with trembling hands. On it, written in my dramatic scrawl, were just 4 bold words. "I'm out. Don't look for us." In that exact split second, all the anxiety, confusion, and insecurity detonated completely inside Lu Ruyan's chest, morphing into absolute, monstrous rage. Her knuckles turned completely white from the force of her grip. That sticky note covered in my dramatic, heartless goodbye was crushed and crumpled beyond recognition in her hand. Chin Fan! A furious roar erupted from her throat, carrying a slight tremor she didn't even realize was there. "Think you're a big shot influencer now? How dare you try to take the kid and run?" She was shaking violently with rage, her beautiful face completely twisted in anger. "You better stay hidden." She gritted her teeth, spitting out every single word. "Because if I catch you and drag you back, I'll lock you up and make you kneel on a keyboard, or my name isn't Lai." Meanwhile, my new life in Nanshan was incredibly peaceful, like a dream I didn't want to wake up from. But deep down, I was still a content creator. An account with 10 million followers couldn't just be abandoned like that. More importantly, I wanted to vlog my new life with Ning Ning. So, I pulled out my camera and streaming gear. Through the lens, there was a crystal clear blue sky and endless open grasslands. I filmed myself galloping on horseback with Ning Ning. She sat right in front of me, her tiny body bouncing along with the horse's rhythm. She was so hyped, she was waving her hands wildly, her crisp laughter echoing into the distance. I also filmed us setting up a bonfire for a BBQ in the courtyard of our cottage. I captured myself struggling clumsily to light the fire, my eyes tearing up from all the smoke, while Ning Ning cracked up laughing beside me. These moments, they were things that had never ever appeared in my videos before. Before, I was just a rich wife's exclusive stay-at-home husband. I was just a guy revolving entirely around the kitchen and Lu Ruyan. But now, the person in the camera was Ning Ning's dad. I was a free, living, breathing human being. I edited all this footage together and overlaid it with an upbeat folk song. The vlog started with Ning Ning's innocent, radiant smile and ended with a shot of us sitting side by side on the grass, staring off into the sunset. By the time I finished editing, it was already dark. Smoke was rising from the BBQ grill in the yard. Meat skewers were sizzling over the hot charcoal, drops of fat falling into the flames and sending up tiny sparks. I popped open a can of beer and poured Ning Ning a glass of milk. "Ning Ning," I took a swig of the ice-cold beer, feeling totally refreshed. "Tomorrow is Daddy's birthday. Aren't you going to get me a present?" Ning Ning was currently busy devouring a grilled chicken wing, her mouth covered in grease. Hearing my question, she tilted her head and thought about it for a solid minute. Then she looked totally distressed and said, "But I don't have any money." I purposely teased her. "No money? That's not gonna work. If there's no present, Daddy is gonna be super sad." Her little eyes darted around. Suddenly, she leaned over and planted a huge wet kiss right on my cheek. "Then I'll just kiss Daddy. That's my present." A giant smear of BBQ grease instantly coated my face. I pretended to be grossed out and wiped my cheek, frowning. "Ew, so greasy. I don't like this present." But honestly, my heart was already bursting with happiness. This felt infinitely warmer than any of the expensive luxury gifts Lu Ruyan ever gave me. Seeing my exaggerated reaction, Ning Ning pouted. "Well, if you don't like it, too bad. I have no other presents." I burst out laughing, pulled her into a big hug, and gave her a firm kiss on the forehead. After finishing the BBQ, I laid back in a lounge chair outside and grabbed my phone. I rewatched the vlog I just edited. Nodding with satisfaction, I gave it the title, Saying Goodbye to the Past. Starting a new life with my sweet little girl, without overthinking it. I just hit upload. As an influencer with 10 million followers, the second the video went live, the analytics started going crazy, but I didn't really care to track it. I casually tossed my phone aside and started catching fireflies with Ningning. What I didn't realize was that, while Ningning and I were out here, cheering over a couple of glowing bugs, that very vlog was already causing a massive internet storm. The comment section was absolutely unhinged. Holy crap. Did bro get a divorce? That title is dropping major lore. Saying goodbye to the past? Saying goodbye to the rich wife. Bro finally stood up for himself. Absolute gigacha. Am I the only one wondering where they are? The scenery is absolutely insane. Drop the location. And of course, hidden among these comments was a very specific viewer, thousands of miles away in Jiang province. Liu Ruyan also saw the video. She was already following my account, so the moment the notification pinged, she clicked right into it. When she saw the footage of Ordinai, Ningning beaming with pure joy, and a complete look of relief on my face. Her grip on her phone tightened subconsciously. She paused and zoomed in over and over again, like a literal internet detective, scrutinizing every single tiny detail in video. Finally, her eyes locked onto one specific frame. It was a shot of Ningning and I in front of our cottage. In the background, there were several rows of unique local bamboo fencing, along with a very distinctively shaped wooden fixture. She immediately opened her laptop and typed a few keywords into the search bar. Nanxing unique cottage, bamboo fencing, solid wood. A bunch of images popped up. She patiently scrolled through a few pages. Suddenly, her pupils dilated sharply on a promotional photo for a local homestay. There it was. The exact same bamboo fence and stone mill from my video. She clicked on the image. Right below, it was the name and address of the cottage. Found you. Liu Ruyan couldn't suppress the dark smirk on her face. Meanwhile, Ningning and I were completely exhausted from playing, and slept soundly through the night in Nanxing. The morning sun filtered gently through the gap in the curtains, landing softly on my face. It felt warm and cozy. I drowsily rolled over, feeling a tiny warm presence next to me, wiggling around. It was Ningning. Her little arm was draped across my chest. Her sleeping face flushed a cute, rosy pink. She was smacking her lips, probably dreaming about eating something delicious. I smiled, my heart melting completely. Today was my birthday. There were no expensive gifts, and no lavish parties. But having my daughter right here beside me, having this brief moment of absolute peace, it was enough. Just as I was about to sleep in a bit longer, a violent, frantic knocking suddenly erupted at the door. Bang, bang, bang. The noise was heavy and aggressive, like someone was literally smashing their fists against the door. The entire wooden door was vibrating. Ningning flinched violently in my arms, totally startled, her eyes snapping open. She shrank her tiny body closer into my chest, her voice trembling with tears. Daddy, someone's hitting the door so hard. Is it a bad guy? I'm scared. Her little hands gripped my pajamas tightly, her entire body shaking. The sudden explosive noise made my heart skip a beat, instantly wiping away any lingering sleepiness. A wave of sheer anger immediately flared up in my chest. I gently patted Ningning's back to calm her down, while glaring toward the door, yelling out in pure annoyance. Who the hell is it? Why are you banging so hard? Ever heard of knocking quietly? Seriously, I can't even sleep in on my own birthday. The second those words left my mouth, there was a massive, deafening G-crash. That sturdy-looking wooden door was literally kicked completely off its hinges from the outside. Wood splinters flew everywhere. Blinding sunlight poured into the room instantly. And standing there, silhouetted against the glaring light, was a familiar figure, radiating an aura of absolute, terrifying fury. Like a literal demon of vengeance, she just stood in the doorway. I had barely lifted my head, and hadn't even clearly seen the person's face yet. My brain was still totally lagging, but the figure had already moved. In just a few quick strides, she closed the distance to the bed. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot across my scalp. A tremendous force grabbed me by the ear, violently yanking my entire body. straight out of the bed. I saw stars from the impact. I crashed onto the carpet next to the bed in a pathetic heap. A bone-chilling cold spread from the top of my head through my whole body. That's when I finally got a clear look at her face. It was my wife, Liu Ruyan. Her beautiful face was completely drained of color, covered in an icy, terrifying expression. Those eyes that I had once loved so deeply were now burning with intense, blazing rage. It looked like she was ready to eat me alive. She stood over me, glaring down. Every single word felt like it was squeezed forcefully through her gritted teeth, carrying absolute, unquestionable command. On your knees. Staring at her extremely enraged, dead serious expression. Before my brain could even process what was happening, my body executed the most honest, instinctual reaction. My knees buckled. Without thinking, I instantly knelt up straight, and words spilled out of my mouth, completely uncontrollably. Wifey, I was wrong. Don't scare the kid. Calm down. Just calm down. We need to stay calm. My voice carried a shaky tremble. I didn't even notice myself. Scare the kid. Liu Ruyan scoffed. That scoff was literally colder than winter ice. You literally ran away with my child, and now you're telling me not to scare the kid. If I hadn't chased after you, my child would be gone. Her voice suddenly spiked, laced with a sharp, piercing fury. I spent 10 grueling months, pregnant with my child, just for an animal like you to kidnap her. Her voice spiked even higher, laced with a sharp, trembling fury. I spent 10 grueling months, pregnant with my child, just for an animal like you to kidnap her. I didn't kidnap anyone. Even as she verbally destroyed me, I still instinctively tried to defend myself. My voice came out raspy and weak. Ningning literally said she wanted to come with me. She didn't want to stay with mommy. Before I could even finish my sentence, the little traitor on the bed who was just hiding behind me and trembling a second ago suddenly made a move. Ningning poked her little head out from under the covers. Her big round eyes first looked at me nervously, and then turned toward Liu Ruyan, who was standing in the doorway radiating pure murder. In literally a single second, the look of pure terror on her little face morphed into absolute wild joy. Mummy! She bolted upright from the bed. Practically scrambling on all fours, she lunged toward the edge of the bed, stretching out her tiny arms, begging Liu Ruyan to pick her up. Mommy, I want to go with you. Don't listen to Daddy's lies. I love Mommy the absolute most. Her voice was loud. Her pronunciation was flawless. It was filled with the most heartfelt, raw sincerity. I was completely, utterly dumbfounded. I stared in absolute shock. This was the exact same biological daughter, who, not even a minute ago, claimed she would happily do literally anything as long as she was with me. And right now, she was clinging onto Liu Ruyan's leg for dear life, tilting her little head up, looking like the most loyal follower in existence. I opened my mouth, but couldn't form a single word. It felt like this little scammer had just ruthlessly stabbed me right in the heart. I was furious, but also found it ridiculously funny. The icy expression on Liu Ruyan's face melted just a fraction. She gave me a look of pure, victorious smugness. Bending down, she scooped Ningning up into her arms and kissed her chubby little cheek. You're such a good girl, my sweet Ningning. Holding Ningning, she threw me a condescending glance from above, her tone dripping with absolute disdain, unlike a certain someone who doesn't know what's good for him. My face felt like it was literally on fire. Liu Ruyan finally released her iron grip on my hair. Her voice remained icy, totally devoid of emotion. Stop kneeling. Get up. We're leaving. It felt like I'd just been granted a royal pardon. Like a defeated rooster, I scrambled up from the floor, thoroughly humiliated. Leaving? Was she forcibly escorting me back? Makes sense. After pulling a massive stunt like this, it'd be a miracle if she didn't drag me back for an intense interrogation, while rubbing my numb knees. I frantically said, Ruyan, just wait for me to pack up, and I'll head right back with you. Just give me a minute, I pack fast. After all, I brought so many clothes with me. I can't exactly just abandon them all here. Liu Ruyan, still holding Ningning, heard what I said, and reacted like it was the funniest joke on earth. Pack up my ass. Why would you pack? She shot me a glare that felt like physical daggers, absolutely chilling. Are you asking for another beating? If you pack up, where exactly are we sleeping tonight? I froze. My hand paused mid-air as I was about to pack. What do you mean? I asked cautiously, testing the waters. We're not going back. Liu Ruyan rolled her eyes at me. It was an expression I knew all too well. 70% impatience, 30% sheer disgust. Go back. Are you literally completely unaware that today is your birthday? Do you want to spend it in transit? My mind instantly buzzed. My birthday. Right, today was my birthday. I had been so caught up in this whole chaotic, unhinged drama that I completely spaced out on my own birthday. A messy, totally unexplainable surge of emotions washed over me. A mix of shock and low-key happiness. But mostly just utter confusion. I instinctively straightened my posture. Like a soldier, awaiting orders. Mission accepted. Accompany Her Majesty on a fun day out. That day, we hit up Dianchi Lake, took a stroll around downtown Kunming, crushed some rice noodles, and tried a ton of local street food. Ningning practically lived on Liu Ruyan's back the whole time, acting like a tiny, triumphant general returning from war. She kept looking back to shoot me goofy faces. Her little eyes were practically screaming, "Daddy Day, you're such a loser." I felt like a marionette, just trailing behind the two of them. My emotions entirely tangled up like a messy knot. When we got back to the cottage that night, Ningning was completely exhausted. The second her head hit the pillow, she was out cold. It was just me and Liu Ruyan left in the room. The air instantly went completely still. The vibe got incredibly tense. Liu Ruyan sat in a chair by the bed. She dropped the intimidating CEO persona she had during the day. With her arms crossed, and her eyes slightly narrowed, she stared at me silently under the dim, warm light. Her stare was making my skin crawl. So I broke the silence. Thanks for celebrating my birthday with me today." She completely ignored my comment. Instead, she just abruptly asked, "Qinfan, are you honestly feeling incredibly wronged right now?" My heart skipped a beat. I stubbornly denied it. Nope. She let out a scoff, laced entirely with pure mockery. No? Then, why did you run? Are you literally an idiot? Lin Shuo tells you you're getting replaced, and you actually believe him. He says you're just a knockoff, and you actually believe him. And then you pull this kidnapping the child and running away stunt. Her rapid-fire interrogation left me totally speechless. My face cycled through shades of green and white. Seeing me look so intensely miserable, her expression softened just a fraction. She continued, "If my best friend Ming Junmin hadn't called me and said you randomly asked her out of the blue about my childhood friend, I wouldn't have even known that an idiot like you could get jealous." I stiffened my neck defensively. I wasn't jealous. Literally anyone would snap. I couldn't take it anymore. She raised an eyebrow at me as if she had finally found an outlet, and raised her voice. Liu Ruyan stared at me, looking at me like I was an absolute, irrational moron. She sighed, a hint of exasperation creeping into her voice. "Qinfan, did you completely forget that you had a massive canker sore a few days ago? It hurt so bad you couldn't even eat." I froze. "Those fruits are packed with vitamin C. They literally cure canker sores." She spoke slowly, enunciating every single word, like she was explaining something basic to a kindergartner. "I told you to eat them because I was looking out for you. What the hell was going through your head? All that toxic nonsense." Yi boom. My mind went completely blank. So that was the truth. I opened my mouth, but not a single word came out. My face felt burning hot, like I'd just been slapped across the cheek. What else? Liu Ruyan clearly wasn't going to let me off the hook just yet. What else made you feel so wrong? That dead childhood friend. She cornered me so hard I couldn't speak. So I just resorted to absolute silence. Seeing me clam up, she decided to just air everything out. "I'll tell you the absolute truth. When I was a senior in college, yeah, I confessed to him. My heart instantly sank again. And he said yes, that very same day." She continued, but her tone turned utterly icy and disgusted. "But guess what? That exact same night, he took his flashy, obnoxious sports car, picked up some random hot girl from God knows where, and took her out for a joyride. They got into a massive crash. Both of them died right there in the car." I snapped my head up in shock, staring at her in complete disbelief. "So when I told you good riddance, did you seriously think I was lying?" The corner of Liu Ruyan's mouth curved into a smile that was dripping with extreme irony. "Let me tell you, That was the most honest, authentic thing I've ever said in my life. I thought it was pure bad luck. Absolutely repulsive. I had just confessed. And he immediately slapped a massive, freshly minted green hat of betrayal right on my head. And then, he literally played himself to death. And it was all over the news. Tell me, wouldn't that piss you off? She was getting more furious the more she talked, her chest heaving. I was so incredibly frustrated and furious about that entire mess, which is exactly why I went to that bar to drink. And that's when I bumped into you. I completely froze. All my anger, all my feelings of betrayal, in that exact moment, they all transformed into a massive sense of absurdity. I wasn't some knockoff of a pure white moonbeam. I was just the unlucky guy she ran into, right after some toxic fuckboy literally unalived himself being trash. Not exactly a fairy tale. The actual truth about her childhood friend blew up in my brain like a bomb, obliterating all my previous feelings of betrayal and rage into absolute dust. But I still wasn't completely satisfied. I pushed further. What about the company? And what about Lin Shuo? What about all those photos he texted me? The company? Liu Ruyan raised an eyebrow. She looked at me like I was literally a top-tier idiot. She paused, seemingly trying to find the right words. Then, enunciating clearly, she dropped an even more massive bombshell. That company is yours. Mine? My brain flatlined. I was completely stunned. I honestly started wondering if severe sleep deprivation was giving me auditory hallucinations. What do you mean, my? It's your birthday present. Liu Ruin's tone was incredibly matter-of-fact, like she was just saying the weather was nice today. Aren't you an influencer with 10 million followers? I figured, you can't just be my stay-at-home husband forever. So I gifted you a media company, so you can be your own boss, and really scale up your account. Is that a bad thing? My mouth hung open, unable to form a single word, gifting me an entire company, just because I was an influencer. The reasoning was absurd, and wildly extravagant, yet, it made the frozen, bitter corner of my heart instantly melt into a rush of scalding warmth. Seeing my completely dumbfounded face, Liu Ruyan elaborated. As for Lin Shuo, he actually graduated from the National Media University. It's his literal major. Since the new company is just launching, and I know nothing about that industry, I hired him as a consultant. He was just there to consult and give feedback. That's the only reason we were at the office so late those few days. We were literally just working. But those photos, I was still clinging to that last detail. Photos? Liu Ruyan sneered, her tone dripping with absolute disdain. He was secretly taking selfies himself, or he'd intentionally find an angle just to frame me in the background. At first, I just thought he was an attention seeker. Later on, I realized he was acting sketchy, so I just ignored him. I never expected him to be so unhinged that he'd actually take that trash and use it to try and sabotage our relationship. She paused, her eyes turning ice cold. He must have found out about my unlucky childhood friend, got plastic surgery, and tried to use that face to get close to me, wanted to secure the bag and become royalty. Bro was literally desperate for cash. Every single puzzle piece finally clicked. Lin Shuo showing up, the green fruits, those triggering photos, and his elaborate knockoff gaslighting. From start to finish, it was just a pathetic scam he orchestrated to steal my spot. And I was the absolute clown who got played completely like a fiddle. My face was burning up. I was so embarrassed. I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. So, how did you find me? My voice was practically a squeak. Your vlog, you idiot. Liu Ruyan rolled her eyes at me. Did you seriously think I wasn't following you? I watch every single video. The second I saw that bamboo fence and stone mill, I just searched it up online and found this cottage. So, that was it. My badass, dramatic escape was, in her eyes, nothing but a childish tantrum, broadcasting my live location. All that betrayal and deceit, I imagine, was, from start to finish, just her prepping a massive surprise to show her love. I looked at her, looking at those eyes that were bloodshot from rushing over here overnight. My heart felt like a total roller coaster. I wasn't some knockoff. I never was. I'm the only one she actually holds in her heart. The one she silently watches over. The one she'd drop millions on without a second thought. She looked at me, a sly smirk tugging at her lips, though her eyes flashed with a dangerous glint. But honestly, that Lin Shuo guy did remind me of something. Remind you of what? I asked, instinctively. That in this world, mental asylums are actually fantastic places. My brain short-circuited. That mental asylum comment completely knocked the wind out of me. A chill shot straight from my heels to my scalp. All that anger from being scammed was instantly replaced by pure dread. I gulped, my voice coming out dry. He's not gonna get out and come after me for revenge, right? A guy who meticulously gets plastic surgery and spins an entire web of lies to scam me. How incredibly twisted must his mind be? Liu Ruyan looked at my panicked face and let out a cold sneer. She looked at me like I was an absolute, clueless amateur. He's going to suffer now. She said it casually, as if talking about something completely trivial. I had him committed to a psych ward. I was completely dumbfounded. I stared at her in shock. You had him committed? Can you even do that? Why wouldn't I be able to? She crossed her arms, looking completely unbothered. He handed me the evidence on a silver platter. Why wouldn't I use it? Seeing my confused face, she patiently broke it down. To get close to me. He got plastic surgery to look exactly like my unlucky, dead childhood friend. Isn't that extreme paranoia? He hallucinated that he could replace you, and even believed my new company was built for him. Isn't that clinical delusion? He took a few sneaky photos and used them to gaslight you, trying to ruin our marriage. Doesn't that show a severe persecution complex? With every word she spoke, my heart sank a little deeper. All those things I just chalked up to him being toxic trash. She literally spun into textbook psychiatric symptoms to get him locked up. I simply hired top-tier psychiatrists and gave them a completely factual account of exactly what happened. The doctors naturally made their own professional diagnosis. Her voice was terrifyingly calm, radiating an absolute, authoritative power. Plus, he's a total loner with zero family or connections. There's literally no one to vouch for his sanity. A shiver ran down my spine. When this woman goes ruthless, she goes hard. Seeing my stunned expression, Liu Ruyan suddenly flashed a sly smile. She leaned in and asked, Chen Fan, let me ask you, do you know how someone proves they have a mental illness? I was totally stumped. Without overthinking, I just blurted out, by telling the doctor they aren't sick. Liu Ruyan burst out laughing, her laugh tinged with a hint of pity. You idiot. The more frantically you try to explain to a doctor that you aren't crazy, the more convinced they are that you're severely ill. They'll just write in your chart, patient, highly agitated, refuses to acknowledge condition. She paused and delivered the final chilling verdict. And then, they just up your dosage. Boom. I felt like my entire worldview just shattered. That is literally an unsolvable, infinite doom loop. Looking at this woman, smiling like a cunning little fox. For the first time, I realized she wasn't just my cute, clingy wife. She was an absolute queen, with the power to completely crush any obstacle in her path. An unprecedented, overwhelming sense of security wrapped around me. I opened my mouth, but all I could manage to say was, Wifey, you're literally an absolute boss. Right at that moment, the little girl sleeping like a log on the bed suddenly rolled over, smacking her lips. She mumbled sleepily, Daddy, Mommy, stop talking. You guys are being too loud. Liu Ruyan and I locked eyes, both of us trying not to laugh. The intense, heavy atmosphere from just a second ago was completely wiped out by this little kid's sleep-talking. Liu Ruyan put a finger to her lips, making a ye-she gesture. We both silently shut our mouths. The room returned to total quiet, filled only with the sound of our daughter's soft breathing. Moonlight spilled through the window, casting a gentle, glowing halo over her messy hair. We quieted down and slipped back into bed, sandwiching Ning Ning right between us. Lying on my side looking at my wife and daughter sleeping peacefully, my heart felt overwhelmingly full. With the misunderstanding completely cleared up, the sky over Nanchang felt even brighter than before. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of Ning Ning giggling. The little rascal was literally riding on my back like a horse. Liu Ruyan was sitting on the edge of the bed, watching us with amusement. Her eyes filled with a tenderness I had never seen before. Looking back, my whole grand escape, planned, just seemed like a childish, ridiculous tantrum. The rest of our vacation officially turned into a proper family honeymoon. In the freezing winds of Yulong Snow Mountain, I pulled Lu Ruyan and Ningning tightly into my arms. She froze for a second, her cheeks turning pink, and playfully pinched my waist. She called me childish, but couldn't hide the huge smile in her eyes. In the ancient city of Lijiang, we wore traditional local outfits. Ningning fluttered ahead like a little butterfly, while Liu Rian and I trailed behind, holding hands. My wife turned into a total foodie, stuffing her face with flour cakes, and whenever she couldn't finish one, she'd just shove it in my mouth. I'd pretend to be grossed out, but happily ate every single bite. My camera literally didn't stop rolling for days. The footage was no longer just the lonely silhouette of a single dad, but the smiling faces of our tight-knit family of 3. Back at the cottage at night, I took all the footage and edited it to a brand new vlog. I specifically picked an aggressively sweet, romantic background track. The video started with a clip of me on the snow mountain screaming "I love you," and ended with a silhouette of us watching the sunset in the ancient city. Watching the final cut, I couldn't stop grinning. I gave it the most obnoxiously flex title ever: Apprehended and Brought to Justice. Turns out wifey is obsessed with me. The second I hit upload, I could already imagine the absolute chaos that was about to hit my comment section. And exactly as expected, less than half an hour after it went live, my notifications exploded. Holy shit, this plot twist has me on my knees. Last vlog was a runaway dad. This one is literally him begging for forgiveness. Bro, I can't with this. I thought Fan was finally having his villain arc, but he just went to a different city to flex his PDA. I'm getting diabetes from this sweetness. Is no one gonna talk about how President Liu looks at Fan? She is literally spoiling him rotten. Case closed. This isn't a knockoff tragedy. It's undefeated, true love. Overnight, my follower count skyrocketed by another 1 million. Scrolling through a screen full of ha ha ha, and I'm passing out from the sweetness. All my previous frustration and feelings of betrayal vanished completely into thin air. I felt like an absolute winner. Once the vacation ended, our family of 3 boarded a flight back to Jiang Province. When I left, I was full of absolute despair. But, coming back, I had Nining's hand in my left, and Liu Ruyan's in my right. My heart was packed to the brim with happiness. The moment the plane landed, Liu Ruyan didn't take us home. Instead, she had the driver head straight to a brand new corporate office building. Stepping out of the car, she gave me a slight nod, a hint of smugness in her eyes. I followed her into the lobby. Right there on the reception backdrop, written in massive gold lettering, was the company name. It was the exact same media company I saw in Lin Shuo's photo, the one that had absolutely crushed my soul. Starting today, this place belongs to you. Liu Ruyan casually slapped a VIP access card into my hand, her tone completely nonchalant. But it landed in my heart with the weight of a massive boulder. She pulled me along, walking all the way to the door of the largest office. A nameplate hung on the door, engraved with 2 words: President Qin. Staring at those 2 words, I felt like I was dreaming. From a stay-at-home husband living off his rich wife, to President Qin running his own company. This identity shift was way too fast and completely surreal. I pushed the door open. The office was spacious and bright. Outside the massive floor-to-ceiling windows was the most bustling cityscape in Jiang Province. Liu Ruyan hugged me from behind, gently resting her chin on my shoulder. President Qin, she breathed into my ear, her voice carrying a trace of that familiar, sly smile. From now on, you're going to have a bunch of gorgeous, top-tier female influencers working under you. You better control yourself. I looked back at the door, at the gleaming gold words, President Qin, still feeling like my feet weren't touching the ground. This birthday present from Liu Ruyan was seriously too massive. Pushing open the door, I experienced what the daily grind really meant for the first time. Looking out across the entire office floor, it was packed with young, beautiful faces, long legs, snatched waists, mature, boss, babe vibes, cute lowly voices, every type imaginable. Tons of female influencers were busy at their workstations, either smiling sweetly into their cameras or chattering away, discussing the latest trending topics. I, a stay-at-home husband who made his name living off his rich wife, was suddenly their boss. Luckily, if I had one talent, it was being highly approachable. Plus, having a 10 million follower account backing me up definitely helped. In just a few days, I was completely vibing with all the influencers in the company. Bro fan, could you take a look at my video script? I feel like it's missing something. President Chin, my livestream viewership is a bit low today. Do you think I should switch up my style? I welcome them all, talking content, cracking jokes, and sharing my influencer experience. Very quickly, the title President Chin in the office was completely replaced by Bro Fan. Just as I was basking in all this VIP treatment and attention, a familiar figure appeared like a literal ghost at my office door. Well, President Chin is looking pretty powerful. Ming Yunming leaned against the doorframe with her arms crossed, wearing a half-smile on her face. My heart skipped a beat. What are you doing here? Her heels clicked as she walked in, making herself right at home on my office sofa. President Liu sent me. Said she was worried you couldn't manage everything alone, so she gave me the title of assistant and secretary. She paused, winking at me, and lowered her voice. Simply put, I'm here to be her spy. Understand? I understood. Understood perfectly. My good days were officially over. Ming Yunming was like a 24/7, 360-degree surveillance camera, installed right next to me. If I chatted with a new female influencer for more than a couple of sentences, within 5 minutes, I'd get a WeChat message from Lu Ruyan. How's the new employee's professional skill? Does she really need the boss to personally mentor her for that long? During a meeting, if my eyes lingered on a streamer in a miniskirt's legs for 0.5 seconds too long, by the time I got home that night, a keyboard would already be sitting dead center in the living room. Wifey, I was wrong. I just accidentally zoned out. I smoothly dropped to my knees, my form absolutely flawless. Liu Ruyan stood holding Ningning, looking down at me from above. Oh, zoned out, huh? Then tell me, what color was her skirt? I couldn't answer a single word. I could only keep my head down and accept my punishment. Ningning clapped her hands and cheered from the sidelines. Daddy is kneeling on the keyboard again. Mommy is the absolute boss. I wanted to cry but had no tears left. One evening, I had just finished my work for the day. When the office door was pushed open, Ningning burst in like a tiny cannonball and tackled my leg in a hug. Daddy! I laughed and scooped her up. Liu Ruyan walked in right behind her, holding a cake from my absolute favorite bakery in her hand. She was wearing a form-fitting dress today, her long hair cascading over her shoulders. The moment she walked in, it felt like the entire office lit up. I was just about to say something when Ming Junming strolled in from outside, looking absolutely thrilled to stir up some drama. Ruyan, you're finally here. You need to keep a tighter leash on your Chin fan. She walked right up to Lu Ruyan, speaking loudly on purpose. My heart instantly tightened. A terrible premonition washed over me. And then I heard her dramatically snitching. He totally peeked several times today at that new dancer, our company sign. The one in the black tights. I saw everything. My scalp literally exploded with panic. You're capping. I frantically defended myself. I did not. Liu Ruyan's eyes had already narrowed into slits. She set the cake down and walked toward me, step by step. Oh, is that so? The very next second, my ear was pinched by a soft, yet utterly inescapable hand. Ow, ow, wifey, it hurts. She's lying to you. I swear I didn't. Holding Ningning, I dodged and begged for mercy, all at once. Liu Ruyan pinched a little harder, but she couldn't stop the corners of her mouth from turning up into a smile. You better not have. She let go, rolled her eyes at me playfully, and said, let's go, time to go home and eat. Granted amnesty, I carried Ningning, and followed right behind Lu Ruyan, like her loyal little sidekick. Ming Yunming trailed behind us, holding back her laughter, and making funny faces at me. Amidst all the joking and laughter, our family of 3 walked out of the office building.